Hey, if you're a woman and you're wondering why symptoms like headaches or migraines, mood swings, anxiety, insomnia, and even urinary urgency are worse at certain times of the month, or if you're a woman who may be in that rocky stage of life called perimenopause when your hormones start to go a little haywire, then this video is for you. I'm Tammy Anderson, your functional histamine coach and expert. And in this video, I'm going to explain the connection between estrogen and histamine and why at certain times of the month and during perimenopause, you might experience an increase in those not so pleasant symptoms. You've probably heard of histamine in connection with allergies, like maybe you take an antihistamine medication for seasonal or environmental allergies for things like a runny nose, sneezing, coughing, or itchy eyes. But what you may not already know is that symptoms caused by histamine, when levels exceed your ability to break it down fast enough, or if you're deficient in enzymes needed to break histamine down, this is usually caused by gut damage or nutrient deficiencies, a situation called histamine intolerance, your symptoms can go far beyond allergy symptoms. This is because histamine plays several vital roles in the body, and we have histamine receptors on every cell in the body, and the cells that release histamine, called mast cells, are in tissues everywhere in the body. So this explains why when histamine levels get too high, you can end up with a cluster of pretty miserable symptoms in multiple systems of the body. Things like rashes or hives, flushing, rosacea, eczema, acne, a racing or irregular heartbeat, low or high blood pressure, dizziness, ringing in the ears, a condition called POTS or postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, mood swings, anxiety or depression, focus issues, headaches and migraines, sleep issues, allergies, coughing or breathing issues, urinary urgency, digestive issues like diarrhea, constipation, gas or bloating, or even menstrual cramps. So what is the connection between our lady hormones and histamine intolerance? Well, as it turns out, when our estrogen levels are out of balance in relation to progesterone, which is a situation known as estrogen dominance, histamine levels can get out of control and our ability to break down histamine can be reduced. So let me explain why this is. Estrogen stimulates the release of histamine from our mast cells, and it also downregulates the DAO enzyme, which is the main enzyme that our body uses to break down histamine, while progesterone upregulates the DAO enzyme activity. So guess what else is going on in this picture? Histamine stimulates the ovaries to produce more estrogen. So we end up in this vicious cycle with estrogen driving up histamine levels and histamine driving up estrogen levels. So at ovulation, when estrogen levels increase to their peak, you might experience increased histamine symptoms like headaches, migraines, anxiety, mood fluctuations, and on and on. And this may even be the case if you're not in perimenopause. Another time during the month when you might notice an increase in histamine symptoms is during the few days leading up to your cycle. And that's because during the few days before your period, progesterone levels start to drop and estrogen levels become relatively higher than progesterone, putting you in that estrogen dominant state. Now, remember that a minute ago, I told you that progesterone upregulates the activity of the DAO enzyme, which breaks histamine down, and estrogen downregulates this enzyme. So when you're in an estrogen dominant state, you'll have higher histamine levels and a decreased ability to break it down. So perimenopause is a time when many women begin having issues with histamine intolerance for the first time. And this is something that I see all the time in my functional clinic. So let's talk about what's happening during perimenopause, which is driving this. And side note here, for some women, perimenopause may begin as early as their 30s. So if you're in your 30s, don't poo-poo the possibility that perimenopause may already be beginning for you. So during this time, your hormones start to get wacky and unpredictable, and estrogen levels start to decline. But they decline in an irregular pattern with unpredictable surges and drops. So when estrogen surges, it stimulates the release of histamine. And remember that those high histamine levels can drive estrogen even higher, putting you more in that estrogen dominant state. It's also during perimenopause that your progesterone levels begin to take a nosedive. So remember that progesterone kind of keeps estrogen in check. It upregulates the activity of the DAO enzyme, which breaks down histamine. So when progesterone declines, estrogen becomes unchallenged in its action of driving up histamine levels and down-regulating the activity of the DAO enzyme. And then chaos ensues. All of a sudden, you might start developing food sensitivities you've never had before. You might start having new or worsening allergy symptoms or skin troubles like hives and rashes and rosacea. You might start having bladder irritation or urinary urgency. You might start having insomnia or anxiety or brain fog or gut issues, a racing heartbeat or dizziness, or a combination of a bunch of things. So if you've watched any of my other videos, like is histamine causing your mystery symptoms or why a low histamine diet is not the solution, then you've heard me say before that the cause of histamine intolerance is never just one thing. It's usually a combination of things that create that perfect storm, so to speak, including your genetics, your lifestyle habits, your environment, your historical life events, your nutritional imbalances and deficiencies, and issues with detoxification organs and poorly managed stress or nervous system imbalances. Mission critical is to address this problem from a truly holistic approach to balance your hormones and heal your body from the inside out. And that's why the holistic approach I take with my one-on-one clients and students in my self-guided program, the Histamine Solution Academy, includes 4 pillars that work synergistically to help you address all of these things, including nutritional support, lifestyle and environment modifications, nervous system regulation, and detox and drainage support, along with strategic supplementation to aid your body's natural ability to heal. Okay, so here are some things that you can do to get started right away. Number 1, avoid or limit high histamine foods, especially alcohol and fermented beverages such as kombucha and kefir, fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi. I know you've heard they're beneficial, they are, but not when you have histamine intolerance. Aged cheeses and meats, especially until you have addressed underlying causes. You should actually be able to add back at least some of these foods in after you've fixed the underlying causes. Number 2, avoid inflammatory foods, which stimulate the release of histamine and other inflammatory chemicals. Some of the biggest culprits are the grains, gluten, sugar, seed oils, fried and processed foods, and dairy, especially conventional dairy that's been pasteurized and homogenized. Number 3, address your gut health. I run a GI map stool test and an organic acids test on almost every one of my one-on-one clients to assess gut health and other underlying issues. And inside the Histamine Solution Academy, I teach my students how to repair a damaged gut and address hidden infections naturally and safely. Number 4, supplements such as vitamin B6 and vitamin C can help to increase that DAO enzyme production so you can more efficiently break down histamine. Number 5, support liver detoxification with herbs like milk thistle, ginger, ginseng, N-acetylcysteine, taurine, and trimethylglycine. Number 6, support progesterone production with nutrients like B6, magnesium, and vitamin D. Get that sunlight. And finally, stabilize your mast cells with herbs such as stinging nettle, which contains quercetin. Quercetin is a powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory that works as a natural antihistamine. You can also use butterbur, mangosteen, and ginger to stabilize those mast cells. So there you have it on the estrogen-histamine connection. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, please give it a like and comment. And if you know someone who could benefit from it, please share it with them as well. For more information and to grab limited time access to my free histamine video training, check out the link in the description below this video. And if you haven't already done so, watch my video titled Why a Low Histamine Diet is Not the Solution for further insights on this. And make sure to follow me on my other social media channels for more valuable content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Remember to take good care of yourself because you deserve to feel well.